Hey guys, welcome to episode 7 of the CMP E46 Drift Build. In this episode, we're putting together our strut braces, so hope you enjoy. One reason we're putting a strut brace into our car is because we've added a good amount of rigidity to the back end and we want to do the same for the front. The other reason we're doing it is because the front strut towers are quite a problem on these cars. So not only do they mushroom on the top face of the tower and crack around the strut itself, they're also prone to deforming closer together over time. So putting a brace between them will simply prevent that from happening. And here we are. This is the parts for the brace that we've designed for this car. Pretty much the reason we design is because we're not too stoked with what's out there, because I feel where a lot of people go wrong with designing a strut brace is they do some awesome tube work. However, the mount itself that contacts the strut tower is generally made of a flat sheet of metal or just a bent up piece, and they sort of lack a lot of the rigidity. So what we've got here is a single piece of folded steel. I've got a total of 4 folds in this and a separate plate that welds onto the top. So as you can see, we get a really rigid boxed up profile from where the tube will mate down to the tower, so there's no loss of rigidity between these 2 points. So I'm going to clamp this down on my bench, weld this up, put both sides in, and then we're going to position the bar, tack that up, and hopefully it'll be that straightforward. So keep watching and we'll see how we go. Alright, well that's it for welding up the mounts. As you can see, they've come together pretty well. It's just a series of straight welds to make this one solid piece of box section now. Pretty happy with how they came out, to be honest, so I think this is going to be an awesome strut brace. So what I'm going to do now is I've got to get the top 3 nuts off the tower in order to bolt this down. Once I've got both the mounts in, I can grab one of the bars and position it and tack it in where it's going to be, pull it back out, do a full seam weld like I've done here, and then it's ready to go back in. Before I do that though, this car is in fact an 01, so it's actually got the earliest style of front strut tower plates with these 3 nodes on it. So essentially it's not a flat surface. So that's where I actually designed up, coming right back, another piece that'll actually go between this and the tower in order to raise the flat faces in order to not deform any of the steel. It's just a nice little thin piece of aluminium. So yeah, gonna zap them off, bolt it down, and keep moving forward. that's it for the front strut brace. We bolted it back down and it went down perfectly, so there was no distortion when we were welding it. To be honest with you, the initial plan was to use a bit of roll cage tubing, but we swapped it out for a bit of box section because in this scenario, this is actually stronger as it's not a hinge brace, it's fixed, so there's actually a moment traveling through it, and a square profile is more resistant to bending. So that is as stiff as can be. I'm totally stoked with the way it came out. I'll be welding a few more of these up this weekend, I think. However, for now, I'm going to move on to the rear strut brace. So this here is the two parts for one of the strut towers. You got a top plate and you got a vertical plate. I'm going to weld these together just like I did the fronts. Then I'll get them bolted in, fit up the bar, hopefully weld that in pretty quickly and easily, and then that should be it. So I'm going to keep cracking on. Alright, well that's the rear strut brace fully welded up. As you saw, we just bolted it in while it's still hot, so as it cools, if there's any potential distortion, it's going to be held down and it shouldn't move. For now, we've just done the bar between the towers. Later on, we might do a little bit more. We might look at dropping some tubes down to the rear subframe mounts and adding a bit of triangulation. But we'll worry about that for another day. That was basically the reason we kept the back end in pieces. Now that that's the last bit of welding in the boot, potentially. In the next episode, we're going to be putting the car back together. So that's the last of it. You should be seeing the car back together and ready to be driven in the next video. So hope you guys have enjoyed the build so far. And hopefully you're looking forward to seeing it done. I'm going to say, well, that's them in, so you're filming, aren't you?